Oh, wow. Look at you. Thank you, guys. Y'all are way too sexy. Y'all gotta be wearing your space pants again because y'all's asses are completely out of this world. Fantastic. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming by. I really appreciate you guys. I'm so happy that you're here. It's so fantastic that you found us and you came by. We got a lot of stuff going on today, a ton of stuff. I'm going to tell you about it here in a second. But like and share this out. Get this out to everybody. We need everybody in here. We need everybody in here as soon as possible. I got all kinds of content for you today on the feed. We got news, video clips, jokes, and memes, all kinds of things. So basically, literally everything is coming at you fast in today's afternooner. So make sure to like this out and share it out. It's just little old me and you against the mighty algorithm. So help me out to get this out there and more folks in here with y'all. So how are y'all doing today? I'm amazing, but I'm a beast. I run this shit. So how are y'all out there? Are y'all kicking today's ass? It's the Sabbath. You got to kick Satan in the ass on the Sabbath for sure. If any day you're going to hand Satan his ass, today is the day. Do not let life be the one kicking you in the ass. Don't ever do that. You got to be handing out the ass kicks. As you walk through this life, it is important that you are the one laying down ass whippings, because no one knows what's going on in your head. No one knows what's going on in your little neck of the woods. You know what I mean? That's the only thing, the only person that knows what's going on up there is you. Everything up there is you and you alone. So make sure that that world is controlled by you and not outside influence, not outside thoughts, because you ain't even of this world. If you're like me, you're in the full armor of God, traveling this earth, just shining light and love on people, you know, and being an example. Trying to be anyway, doing your best to be. That's what I try to do. I try to walk through this world and leave some kind of mark. You know, be good to people. That's a good way to be a good friend. We're going to talk more about that in a bit, you know, because I got to rant. I got to rant a little bit. You know I got to do that. So we're getting ready to put 3 minutes on the clock here in a minute. But once again, thanks for coming. If you're just getting here, I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for hanging out and supporting us. And make sure to subscribe. Follow us on X at The Dark MAGA, THA Dark MAGA. I'm still Dark MAGA, even though I'm a little mad at Elon. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I'm a little upset with Elon. You know, I feel like he's being a fair weather friend. I feel like, you know, he's being fair weather. He's not a real ride or die. You know what I mean? Elon exposed himself as fair weather. To me, I would not take him into a fight, not no more. You know, now I understand why he backed out of that fight with Mark Zuckerberg. He didn't want to get that ass whooping. Zuckerberg would have handed him an ass whooping. Why is Zuckerberg preparing for some kind of apocalypse? Have you noticed that? He's like learning judo, training in judo, and he's like, you know, now he's being photographed as an alpha male, like barbecuing and, you know, grilling ribs and all kinds of stuff he never was photographed doing before. He's bought an island in Hawaii, and he has underground bases in it. What is he getting ready for? You know, I'm kind of curious. I'm a little bit curious because we know something's coming. So what is this elitist getting ready for? Well, it seems like he's getting ready for some kind of survival type situation, you know, and I would not doubt it. It would not surprise me. But let's put 3 minutes on the clock. I want to talk. Let's just get to it. You know, let's not mess around. Let's put 3 minutes on the clock. I want to talk about Elon versus Trump. So Elon, in my opinion, is being a fair weather friend right now. Elon has come out and he is gone into ever since stepping down as the head of Doge, by the way, and getting his big golden key, he has went into a X rant. Every post talking about how stupid Trump is and how bad this bill is and how everyone needs to come against a big, beautiful bill because it's just wasteful spending, which is exactly what he was brought in to stop. And they're just doing more of the same, you know. And I kind of got to agree with him a little bit, a small amount, only because I do see it as another trickle-down economics type thing. And we know that doesn't work. It has never worked. It's never, ever, ever worked There's no reason to think it would work, you know, and it's naive to think it would work. This isn't our first rodeo. We've seen how this goes. You know, the trickle down doesn't work, but maybe investing in America works, you know, which is how I'm seeing the bill, which is how I think Elon needs to see the bill. I think he's not looking at it right, but however he's looking at it, he invested $270 million to get Trump elected president. He wanted the change that's happening. Doge is still moving forward just because Elon doesn't want to be part of it anymore because his ketamine high wore off and his meth ran out or whatever reason he can't work 20-hour days anymore and do Doge anymore. We're supposed to believe that, right? We're supposed to believe that Elon Musk was running Doge in 3 companies. That's not believable at all. That's not believable at all. And he's on a concoction of drugs. You know, this man is phony. He's got a phony image. And he invested $270 million to be part of the Trump train. Once he knew it was winning. This is way after the indictments. This is when Trump is clearly the front runner and he's going to win. Elon jumps on board, invests $270 million, and then starts like living at Mar-a-Lago and just leached onto Trump and held onto him as tight as he could. He's always in this PR campaign for Elon, you know? And then where did Doge go? Like the last 2 months, it feels like longer than that, but the last month and a half, 2 months, where did Doge go? We used to get daily updates on how much they were saving us. But now, nothing for like a month and a half, and then Elon steps down and says, well, I hate the big, beautiful bill because it's going to add $3.8 trillion by 2034, mind you. And that's just if it doesn't pay off. If it just is an expense bill, yes, by 2034, it's going to go at $3.8 trillion. How much was it going to go up without the big, beautiful bill, though? It's up to what? I don't even know anymore. I lost track. I stopped paying attention when it was at 30-something trillion. So it's going to go up 3.8 more? That doesn't surprise me. The price of eggs in my lifetime has went up like 800%. So I'm pretty familiar with inflation and what's going on. And we don't really need Elon Monday morning quarterbacking the presidency. We're only like 4 or 5 months in. I don't know exactly how far, but not that far. So a ton has been done in a short period of time, and some pseudo-intellectual falsely representing knowledge, impersonating an expert, thinks he can weigh in on what people should vote for or against, like they have time to put together a whole bill right now for Elon, or that they even would. But no, I'm supposed to do that in 3 minutes, but I didn't get it all in. When you're supposed to have someone's back, you know, what it means to be loyal when you have someone's back and you really support somebody, you support them through things like this. The government has to pass a spending bill. We can always revisit this, but right now we get to start investing in the United States, which is what you were supposedly backing. Make America great again. Not just cut government waste. You guessed that. And we're still doing it, right? Doge keeps going. Elon's being an asshole. In my opinion, Elon's being a total ass. The more I think about this, the worse he gets. He's a fake pseudo-intellectual who pretends to be like Nikola Tesla. He is nowhere near Nikola Tesla. He didn't invent anything. You know, the electric cars, he did not invent that. He took that company over from 2 other guys who invented it. PayPal, he probably didn't even invent. He had money from his parents. He probably invested the money, and the other guy invented it. He did that with someone else, too. And even the blowtorch thing, everything, name it off, SpaceX, it's not Elon. He's the money behind it, and he's like the fake leader of it. But you think he's really running these companies on a concoction of drugs? These highly successful companies that have influenced our society in such a way that they have is being ran by a guy on a ketamine cocktail? I seriously doubt it. That doesn't make any sense to me. I'm not believing that. You know what I mean? But let me tell you where we're heading. We're heading into a dystopian nightmare. That's where this goes. You want to know where this goes? I'm going to show you a cartoon about where this goes. I want to show you this cartoon and sit through this with you. And sit through it with me. It's only like 4 minutes long. This is a cartoon about where we're heading. Elon, everyone likes to forget. Elon is the one that's the transhumanist. Elon wants to put a chip in your head, wants to make you a robot. He even thinks that him and his elite buddies can live their lives forever, upload their consciousness into a robot, and be eternal. He's a transhumanist. You know how they right now are telling you there's 160 genders and you can change yourself into whatever you want to be? I don't know how they get 160 out of, 2 different types of bodies, but that's what they say to you. But pretty soon they'll be saying to you, you can upgrade your body. You don't like them eyes? Why don't you get some robot eyes? We'll connect them to your brain and they'll work just like your regular eyes. You want better hearing? How you tired of headphones? How about some robot ears? Like pretty soon there won't be any human parts left of you. And this is the dude doing it. But let me show you a cartoon real quick and watch this with you. It's called Model Citizen. And I'm going to react to it. At times I'll probably stop it. But just watch this. This is where we're going.
Hello, citizens of Autodale, and welcome to tonight's PSA. What is a model citizen?
Well, I'm home.
How was work today, honey?
It was a delight.
Well, families of Autodale, a model citizen is a providing father. A model citizen is a caring mother, all in service of a scrappy young boy or girl. A model child raised by a model family to become a model citizen of their own. For Autodale is hardly automatic. You and your families are the gears that keep our engines turning and turning. And let us hope that this perfect cycle never ends.
At least they take their masks off to eat dinner, right?
Sure. Greetings, Mr. and Mrs. Robinson. Daily check. How are we doing tonight? Well, work was a delight.
Oh, dinner was just wonderful.
And Junior's just been tucked in. Splendid! Taking after his father, I'd hope. Seems everything's in order.
Oh, leaving so soon.
Wouldn't care to join my lovely lady for a dance, would you, Joe? One day, Mrs. Robinson. Not today.
Aww.
You disappointed the lady, Joe. Deepest apologies, Robinson family. But duty calls. It would seem the cycle never ends.
Time comes when your model child is grown up and is ready to start a model family of their own. A true model citizen knows that their duties are finished and their course is run.
I think it's time.
I was kind of hoping that the cycle would never end.
Ugly. Falling with pain. Oh.
I'm so proud of him.
We did good. You did indeed, Robinsons.
Oh!
True model citizens.
It's your boy. The same robot that checked on you every day.
Thank you, Joe. Deepest
I refuse.
apologies, Robinsons. The duty calls. I'm afraid Autodale is hardly automatic. And your families are what keep our engines
Turning and turning. Let us hope that this perfect
what they
cycle never ends.
This is what they're trying to do. No way. No way I would stand for this. No fucking way. Look at this. This is the world that Elon wants to create. This is what Elon wants. This is his fantasy. That would be ideal for him. You know, that's exactly what Elon wants the world to be. That's who we're cheering on when we cheer on Elon Musk. People forget that's the guy. That's the transhumanist guy. That's the guy that wants to put a chip in your brain. He wants to merge you with computers. That's what he thinks is ideal. That's who we're supporting. Now, I love the black MAGA hat. I love dark MAGA. I am the dark MAGA. But I'm true dark MAGA. I'm ride or die. I'm not Elon Musk brand dark MAGA. I just like the black Elon, the hat Elon wears. It's not the Elon hat. I don't think of Elon Musk when I think of that hat. I think of dark MAGA. You know, ride or die to the end MAGA. That's who he pretended to be. To the max MAGA, like it's solid black MAGA. No, that's not what he ended up being. He needed a white hat. He was a surrenderer. He was a run at the first sign of danger type person. You got to be hard-assed. You got to be hard-assed. You got to be like a memer. You got to be like us. You know, we don't share memes with pussies online. We don't offend them with memes because it's easy, but because it's fun. That's why we do it, because it's fun, for the fun of it, the thrill of the game. You know, we're not interested in people that want to shush us up. We're not interested in that. We're interested in speaking out, rising up, speaking our voice, making our voices heard. That's what interests us. That's the kind of things we're into. That's what we want to do. But I want to show y'all some things. There's some things I got to show you. I got to go through some news with you. I got to give you the news that you can use. This first thing we're going to do, we're going to watch because, you know, other countries, man, they be going to the moon too. It's not just the United States who fakes fakes moon missions. You know, they're fake. This is fake. What I'm about to show you is 100% fake, and they failed it, though. I like how they throw in failures time and time again, just to make it seem a little real. Like, NASA only threw in one failure. The United States claimed that they went there successfully 6 times and only failed once. And then never went again for 60 years. And can't today. Say they can't. They're going to figure it out, but they lost the data. But other countries still go. And this is Japan. So I want to show you this. This is Japan, and they're planning to go again. Well, actually, they just tried it and failed. I'm going to tell you that in a second. I just want to show you this first. This is their promotional video for their little mission. And this is what they're showing and saying it's going to be amazing. They're going to do this. Look, that's the moon. So they went up on a Falcon 9 SpaceX rocket. There they go. They've already made one attempt out into space. Look at them go. Out into space. Going out into outer space. Look, there they are. Outer space.
Separation confirmed.
Look how real this is. That's totally
and
real.
There it goes. You can see Resilience slowly moving away from Falcon 9's second stage as it begins its journey.
Its
to
journey
the moon.
just going to the moon, and there it's going to land. It was scheduled to anyway, but it didn't. It lost communications and didn't land. I don't know what happened, but they decided not to fake the rest of it. There's Earth. Look at Earth from. I don't. You know, I don't believe in outer space. I think that's complete and utter bullshit. But the iSpace Resilience lander crashes. It crashed in its second attempt at a moon landing. Its second attempt. Now they just can't pull it off. You might have saw that. What was that? It was like a Middle Eastern country. I can't think of the name of it right now, but they just recently landed on the moon, and it was an Indian country, something like that. It was one of those, but it looked like a video game. It looked like an old video game too. It didn't even look like a recent video game. It looked ridiculous. But the Japanese one had a little better CGI, as you could see, but the moon still looked ridiculous. And they failed. They claim they failed. They crashed. So at least they're being honest. They're not trying to get it on the first attempt like America did, 6 out of 7 times. We just got it right the first time and never were able to recreate it, but we could do it in the 60s, and we could call from a landline phone. We could call the moon from a landline phone, and people are not supposed to say that was ridiculous. But what happened here is the iSpace Resilience lander attempted to land on the moon but failed. Japanese company iSpace Lunar Lander crashed during its landing attempt in Mare Fiorugas yesterday. I guess that's what they call that part of the moon, losing communication 1 minute 45 seconds before it touched down. The spacecraft was carrying Europe's first moon rover and scientific payloads worth $24 million. So $24 million crashed and burned on its way to the moon. if you believe that. I don't believe that, but if you believe that, if that's something that sits in your mind as truth, $24 million blew up on its way to the moon. Now, I think $24 million went in a bunch of people's pockets. That's what I think, maybe more. And then more will go into it now on the third attempt to all these people's pockets. And they're just siphoning money and laundering money. That's what I think these things are. I think NASA's the same thing. NASA's a film studio that's just launders money. It's a money creation film studio where they pretend they go out in outer space and they never do. You've never seen a real image from NASA. Just ask yourself why that is. Why every image you've ever seen of a planet, including Earth, is CGI. They're all fake. Why is that? If they have all these fancy telescopes, why aren't they giving you real images? Why are they all doctored? You should ask yourself that. You should want to know that. But most people don't want to know things. They just think they know things, and they're happy with that. So I wanted to play you this guy. This is Charlie Kirk debating a college student on how he is smart enough to debate college kids if he did not graduate college. Because a lot of you don't know, Charlie Kirk is not a college graduate. And I'm not a college graduate, but I'm smart enough to believe that this outer space moon stuff is fake. And I'm smart enough to know that you don't need a college degree to be intelligent. But this kid's not, so let's let Charlie explain why you don't.
You dropped out of college, and your highest...
Community college.
Sorry, your Harper College experience, I apologize.
Barely was smart enough to make it to community college.
So essentially, what are your qualifications for arguing that college is a scam, or really having any economical knowledge at all, when likely the vast majority of the students here know more than you about economics as a whole?
Okay, so... no, hold on. It's okay, guys. It's okay. Who's Milton Friedman?
Who's Milton Friedman? I have no idea, and it's not important to this conversation.
Who is Ludwig von Mises?
These are all probably economists, and they're the same
Who
thing.
is John Maynard Keynes?
Okay, obviously I know who Keynes is.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
He's the most famous economist of all time.
You don't know Milton Friedman?
I mean, that's an economist.
Okay, how about Murray Rothbard?
That's another economist.
F.A. Hayek?
I don't know who that is.
Well, then you just came here and insulted my intelligence. You're right, I barely made it through community college because I was too busy, I don't know, starting a national youth movement with hundreds of thousands of members.
Hey, hold on, though.
Hold on. Employing hundreds of people, raising hundreds of millions of dollars,
yes,
having a top 10 most popular podcast,
sure,
and reaching tens of millions of people online every day.
Sure,
but hold on.
But you're also calling all of your constituents idiots by saying they participate in a scam. Their shirt's right there.
I'm calling the institution a scam. So then I never insulted the intelligence. I just had 10 people come up and we had warm conversations. So you asked, what are my qualifications? I'm a job creator, entrepreneur, autodidact. Do you know what that word means? Self-taught. Yeah, self-taught. You know, you should probably learn that word if you're going to come up and insult other people's intelligence.
Hey.
So autodidacticism is what Leonardo da Vinci was. You don't have to go to college to be wise. You don't have to go to college to be intelligent. I read 100 books a year. I visit over 150 colleges.
I'm not saying you're unintelligent. I'm just saying you lack qualifications.
Well, are you a New York Times bestseller?
Of course not. I'm in college.
Got it. So I'm just trying. What are my qualifications? I have published books, read lots of books, dialogued with a lot of people, and instead of asking what my qualifications are,
Yeah, why would you start with asking what his qualifications are? And why would you come up to him completely ignorant of what his qualifications may be? You know what I mean? Why do people do that? Why do people want to live in a perpetual state of ignorance? Why is that something people do? That's what it makes it so easy for us to know what's going on all the time. It's not that we're psychic in any way. It's just that we pay attention. We're not in the dark about what's happening because we're paying attention. You know, we're looking around at things as they're occurring and reacting to them with critical thought, you know, instead of just taking whatever inputs the TV gives you and running with that, you know, just thinking whatever the TV tells you to think. But let's look at this. Let's look at this next story real quick. I want to bring this next thing into you and share it with you. This is about Elon. Let's get back to the news. This is Elon and his problems with, well, that's not Elon, but his problems with the big, beautiful bill. He's threatening to decommission the Dragon spacecraft, and NASA would not get to use his fancy rocket because SpaceX has been a key partner in NASA's cargo and crew missions. So amid escalating feud between billionaire Elon Musk and President Donald Trump, Musk threatened to decommission the Dragon spacecraft. Dragon is a family of spacecraft that is produced by Musk's technology company SpaceX. Various Dragon spacecraft have been making trips to the International Space Station since 2012, carrying both cargo and crew to the floating station. And SpaceX is a key partner in NASA's Artemis program, which seeks to establish a permanent base on the moon and eventually send humans on missions to Mars. And Musk backed off from his initial threat hours after posting it on X, but it's possible that the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, is, if you believe that the richest man in the world is Elon Musk. The people that are the richest people in the world don't list their income. No one knows how rich the richest people in the world are. That's the way it works. When you have that kind of money and you have that kind of status, you don't tell people who you are and what you have. You just keep yourself in the shadows, and you let people like Elon Musk be called the richest man on earth. The richest people on earth have money that's just in the quadrillions, probably. When you include their assets, like, they own, half this planet is owned by 2 different companies. Every corporation's owned by like 3 places. If you look at the top tippity tops, they're going to be way richer than Elon Musk has ever dreamed of being in his entire life, his entire existence. But he's mad at Trump for wasting money. This man tanks his own company's stock all the time with the stuff he says. He makes his company's stock plummet all the time by going on Rogan and smoking joints and saying crazy shit. All the time he does that, if you believe he's running 3 companies. But people apparently do, because what he says and what he does affects those companies. But let me let you watch the White House press secretary, who I really like. She's great. I'm a big fan of hers. Let me let her respond to this reporter asking her what Trump thinks of Elon's criticism about the big, beautiful bill, his big, beautiful tax bill, which I like. I know that there's bad things in it about trickle-down economics, but what if it works? It's an investment to get people to make American companies. What if that works, How do you boo-hoo it before you even know if it's going to be successful? It could be just the right thing. It could be, what everybody wants. It's what we voted for. So if it works, if it pays off, isn't it worth it? But let's let her respond.
How mad do you think President Trump is going to be when he finds out that Elon Musk said, "I'm sorry, but I just can't stand it anymore. This massive, outrageous, pork-filled congressional spending bill is a disgusting abomination. Shame on those who voted for it. You know you did wrong. You know it."
Look, the president already knows where Elon Musk stood on this bill. It doesn't change the president's opinion. This is one big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it.
How mad do you think
One big, beautiful bill, and he's sticking to it. I like her. She's really good. I like her a lot. She's entertaining. I like the way she keeps the press in line, But Elon's not happy with Trump, and Trump don't care. Trump has come out. Like, did you notice before Elon even started this? Because Elon was kind of acting like he was going to act up. So he was already kind of showing his ass. So the White House, I bet they leaked that shit about Elon's drug problems. Because he was supposedly on a cocktail the whole time he's hanging out with Trump. He's on a cocktail of drugs, like ketamine and speed and all this stuff, and high off his ass the whole time he's hanging out and buddying up with Trump and spending all that money on the Trump campaign. But that's what they're saying, and I believe it. How are you going to work 20 hours a day if you're not drugged out of your mind? But Trump is not interested in talking about Elon Musk. He's not interested in talking about Musk's dissatisfaction with his bill. The government spends money. That's like what they do. That's what they do. The government spends money. It's a normal thing. It's not a new thing. It's not something that just happened. It's just not something that just started happening. Every time the government passes a spending bill, it's going to increase the deficit. What kind of an idiot is Elon Musk? We've already established that he's a pseudo-intellectual. He pretends that he's an expert on things. He pretends to be an expert. And he's smart enough to pull it off. He's a manipulator, and he gets people to believe he's smarter than he is. But he's not an expert on this. And, people would argue, they would counter-argue, well, neither is Trump. 45, 47 has been president twice. How could you call him inexperienced at this point? Yes, he's not a career politician. Yes, he didn't have the long career in Washington and make all the connections. But he's been connected to politics as long as I can remember. Oprah's been asking him if he's going to run for president since the guy was like middle-aged. This has been going on a long time. He's been a voice in politics. Remember the Obamagate stuff with Obama being a false citizen, which I still kind of believe. There's some bullshit going on with Obama. Who was president during Biden? A lot of people think it might have been Obama, that Obama got another term. You know what I mean? Running from the shadows and running the secret government. It wasn't Biden. It was an auto pen and a lot of bullshit going on. So who was involved in that? Who was actually pulling the strings? Instead of Elon being happy that we got it, we got in there and we're MAGAing it up now and things can be exciting again. Instead of him being happy about that, he's deciding to bash Trump. And I got in a whole rant at the beginning about how that makes him a fair weather friend. Can't we even see what's going to happen? But after Thursday's grand meltdown between Elon Musk and President Trump over the big, beautiful bill, it looked like things were set to simmer down, with Musk posting several things on X that suggested he was open to a path forward. But the Trump White House has not scheduled a call with Musk. On Friday morning, it was clear that Trump isn't ready to mend fences. He doesn't want to talk to Musk. And he's looking to sell his Tesla. He's already looking to sell his Tesla. He's mad at Elon. Trump doesn't like that. Trump is very big on loyalty. That is the thing people underestimate about Trump. If you prove yourself disloyal to Trump, he will cut you off. Trump is like that. You can't pull that shit with Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't play that kind of shit. You know what I mean? You got to watch that. He's very big on loyalty. And that is a really good trait. I can't even hate on him for caring so much about loyalty. What could be more important? He's the leader of the free world, and he's got to be able to trust these people that are around him. So loyalty is very important. Trump's not interested in Elon and his bullshit. Gavin Newsom's pulling some bullshit, but he's always pulling bullshit. Gavin Newsom, I think, wants to run for president. I really think he does. And I don't think he'll be successful, but I think he wants to run for president. That's what Zoltar's telling me. Zoltar's telling me that Newsom is trying to get things ready for some kind of presidential run, and that's what he's after, but I don't know. I don't know if that's what he wants, but I know he's an asshole, and he is threatening to hold federal taxes back. California is a very big state, has a large population. Californians pay more in federal taxes than the state receives in federal spending. And Newsom is saying, well, if you're not going to let us be crazy woke, then we won't give you our tax money. Which, can he do that? Can Governor Newsom, keep California's tax money and not give it to the country, not pay their tax? Can a state do that? Can a state just decide, hey, we're not paying taxes? Isn't that the same thing? Wouldn't they have to secede? So Newsom has threatened to withhold federal taxes over Trump's plan to cut state funding for California. The federal government provides Californians with about $170 billion in grants for various programs, with the largest portion being $100.9 billion for medical assistance. And he's wanting to cut that because they're woke crazy. But Newsom is doubling down and saying, well, then we won't pay our taxes. Can he do that? That's what I'm curious about. Can Governor Newsom do that? Or is this just grandstanding? To me, it seems like it would probably just be grandstanding. But someone let me know in the comments. Can Governor Newsom really withhold taxes? I would love to know if that's true or not. But let me show you this. This is Charlie Kirk again, and I'm not trying to beat you over the head with Charlie Kirk. But watch this transformer get put in its place by Charlie in this clip. I had to let you see this, and I just felt like this was a good place to squeeze it in. Watch this transformer get shut down.
This outraged liberal completely lost it when Charlie Kirk hit him with one devastating question that she could not answer.
So what is a woman?
What is a woman is whatever you want to be.
So anyone can be a woman?
Yeah.
So do you get a period?
Yeah, actually, yeah. So, no.
Can you give birth?
No.
So a woman can be whatever you want it to be.
Hormones by themselves, you can actively change. By taking HRT, you can also stop taking the T suppressor.
But people are more than hormones. You have men with low testosterone, those are called white dudes for Harris. If I wear a disguise or a costume, do I become that thing? For example, if I dress with a sombrero and start talking with a Mexican accent, do I then become that culture?
No, because that's different race.
How is it different? Because You're saying that if you dress a certain way and you present a certain way, you can be as you think you are. Why can't I also just choose what culture I am?
Because you are born within a culture, you are born with.
But you were born as a man.
All right.
All right, fuck you. You were born as a man, though. What about that? What about that? That's what I want to know. What about that? That you were born as a man? Is that a problem? So the story I was getting ready to show you is ridiculous, but I got to bring my screen back up. I'm having some kind of problems, having a little bit of technical difficulty. I think it's because I'm trying to do too much at the same time, and my computer is really not a supercomputer. It's not really made for that. So hold on, I'm having trouble with sharing the screen. There we go. The deported Maryland father, remember this guy, the MS-13 member that was just a father deported to Ecuador, I think it was, or El Salvador. So Kilmar Garcia was deported El Salvador, and he's known as the Maryland father by leftist corporate media because they try to just say he's a Maryland father, even though he has the MS-13 on his hand, the tattoo. But he's headed back to the U.S. only to face federal charges for allegedly running a human trafficking operation. So this innocent Maryland father is coming back to the U.S., but now to face charges, federal charges of human trafficking. Yeah, he's just an innocent Maryland father. I'm sure that's not tied back to his gang, MS-13, which he is a member of. You know, they didn't fool anybody with that. And now he's coming back home to the United States, but not to come back home, but to be charged, to have new charges brought against him for human trafficking. Of all the things that you could be found guilty of and be responsible for, human trafficking. You know, it's not like they brought him back and found like a pound of weed in his apartment when they were, you know, kicking him out. No, this is big. We found out this dude's a human trafficker. That's crazy. How are you going to call this guy? I bet they still do it. I bet they still talk about the Maryland father and how they're persecuting him. Look at what they're doing to him. He's just an innocent father. Why can't this man just be an innocent father? It's ridiculous, in fact. I just don't understand it. I can't understand the logic. Well, it's because there isn't any. That's really why. It's difficult to understand when there is no logic, when, you know, people just put logic aside. Like what's going on with the stuff in California, the riots that are happening. You know, that's ridiculous. It's just out of hand. These people are rioting because immigration is kicking out the people that invaded our country. Our country was invaded with a massive amount of immigrants to the point where we have to do this. I mean, you know, I'm sorry. Well, I'm not, but I can see why people would want us to be sorry about this. It seems really awful. You know, but these people entered illegally. And I get that not all of them are dangerous, but they all are criminals. Because entering the country illegally is a crime, and committing crimes makes you a criminal. And there is a right way to go about it and a wrong way to go about it. And the people being kicked out of the country and sent back to where they came from went the wrong way about it. That's all it is, you know, and that's what it was. So I'm for this, and we voted for this, and we got to remove this infiltration, this invasion. You know, there's a reason why there's checks and balances and ways to go about things. You have to do things the right way. You know, it doesn't work if you don't. If you don't do things the right way, if you don't do things in a moral way, things get out of hand very quickly. You know, and you have to be careful. And I'm not saying, you know, support everything the cops do. I'm saying we have to monitor and be, you know, diligent citizens and monitor people, because people in authority don't always do the right thing either. I want to show you a clip here, and this is horrific. This is really horrific, and I'll warn you, if you have a low tolerance for watching people take punishment, don't watch the next, 5 minutes. If you're watching this later on, skip ahead. If you're watching live, look away for the next, 3 to 5 minutes, because what I'm going to show you is brutal. But this is an honorable fighter. This guy was in the ring in a fight with a ref who was a shitty referee. And the guy he's fighting in this clip takes a beating that is just unbelievable. Watch this. And this guy, just quits. He just walks out of the cage because the ref won't stop it. And he's doing permanent damage to this dude. And instead of killing him in the ring, just walks away from the fight.
He stood up and walked away, right in the middle of the fight. Not from fear, not from pain, but because he couldn't take it anymore. His name, Danny Misson. A man not driven by fame or fortune, but by something much rarer in this sport, a sense of honor. He wasn't some pampered superstar. Danny worked his way through the small shows, underground gyms, sparring sessions after midnight. He knew pain, he knew struggle, but he also knew limits, moral limits. That night, he stepped into the cage against Welsh fighter Aaron Abbey, a seasoned grappler, respected for his resilience, and someone who had fought tougher battles outside the cage, including a real-life fight against cancer. The bell rings, the crowd roars, and Abbey rushes forward, pressing Danny against the fence, trying to drag the fight to the ground. Danny defends, pivots, and fires back with short elbows. He starts to find his rhythm, a knee to the body, a sharp left hook, another elbow. But then, something changes. Aaron stops fighting. He stands in place, absorbing every shot. His eyes lose focus. His arms hang by his sides. Danny keeps throwing, unsure of what he's seeing, but the ref stays silent. 10 shots, 20, 50, still no answer. Danny glances at the referee. No reaction, no intervention. It's like the third man in the cage vanished. By now, the strikes are clean, precise, brutal, but it doesn't feel like a fight anymore. It feels like a punishment. Danny's punches begin to slow. His heart starts pounding louder than the chants from the crowd. He's not just punching a man, he's watching a fellow fighter crumble while everyone else watches like it's a movie. And then something inside him snaps. He drops his hands, steps back, and does the unthinkable. He turns and walks out of the cage. He didn't scream, he didn't protest, he just left because he refused to be part of a show where pain is ignored and fighters are thrown to the wolves, where ratings beat respect, where the referee watches a man break and does nothing. Danny Misson didn't lose that night. He walked away undefeated, not in record, but in spirit. And the internet, they didn't mock him, they applauded.
That's crazy. And that's why you have to watch people in positions of authority too. You have to watch the cops as well. I'm not a bootlicker. I'm not somebody who is a bootlicker, but I'm also not somebody who wants just total anarchy. I'm not that person. You know what I mean? I don't want things to be totally insane, totally crazy. I want a happy medium. And I'm not saying, look, this guy, the story on the screen right now, this is a guy about the guy who shot the United Healthcare CEO, Mangione. All right. Now, I don't know that this actually went down the way they're saying it went down. And I have all kinds of opinions on that. But, this wouldn't be getting this kind of attention had he shot up the office instead of shooting the CEO. Shooting the CEO, shooting one of the elite is really the only reason why this is getting so much attention and what this is going on. But there's so much bullshit involved in this case. But I'm just saying, these people are predatory. The CEO of this company, he does things, and let's not ignore that, does things and did things to this man as far as coverage goes that puts people's lives in a position and puts them in a position where they're choosing to either live a life of pain now, live their remaining years in pain because you won't give them whatever type of coverage for whatever type of treatment they need, or, just die. Just let them die because you're refusing treatment that might save their lives. These are the people that make those kind of decisions, that make those kind of calls. And when you do that, I think you open yourself up to this kind of retribution. So Luigi Mangione, 27 years old, allegedly assassinated United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson outside Manhattan's Hilton Hotel last December using a homemade ghost gun. Wow, I didn't know it was a homemade gun. After a 5-day manhunt, Mangione was arrested in Pennsylvania and now faces state and federal charges, including terrorism, with prosecutors seeking the death penalty. So this guy's in a lot of trouble, and I'm not saying he shouldn't be. I'm not at all. I'm just saying, what do they expect? Like when you put people's lives on the table and you say, you're not worth this amount of money. We won't spend this money on you because you're not worth it. What message do you think you're sending? What do you think you're opening yourself up to? You're playing with people's lives and people's well-being and their states and their ability to live a life. What do you think that leads to? I'm really curious. I would really like to know. You know, I find it very interesting that you're not concerned, that you feel like you can be predators like this and you can just take advantage and treat people this way and never face any retribution for it. That's ultimately amazing to me. You know, I don't understand that. I don't get that at all. You know, that makes no sense. But this guy, he ended up paying. And I'm really surprised. And again, I'm not supporting this. I'm just saying these people are so evil. The insurance companies in this country and our whole healthcare system, I feel, is so evil that I'm surprised this hasn't happened more. You know, you can't treat people any kind of way you want. It's not the way things go. But I think we need a palate cleanser. That was way too serious. So let's listen to Rob Schneider on Pride Month. We are in Pride Month. I want Rob Schneider to tell you why it's so stupid. So let's come out with Rob Schneider, and then I got some more memes I want to show you, and we're going to wrap up this afternooner. I hope you had a good time. If you did, share this out. Get and like it. Remember to hit like. Always hit like. If you like this, hit like. When you like something, like it. These creators like me, we spend a lot of time trying to give you great content. So hit that like button and retweet this if you're on X. You know, repost it, whatever they call it now. I know they probably don't call it tweet, but I'm not cool. I never have been cool. You know, I'm like chili. George Carlin used to say that. I ain't never been cool. But I always was able to blend with the cool kids. They like hanging out with me. I'm entertaining. I'm fun. But let's listen to Rob on Pride Month.
Rob Schneider is spitting facts.
I'm all for gay pride, gay weekend, parade. I will say gay pride month seems a little greedy. 4 weeks in a row. We get Veterans Day. You fight for the country, you get a day. Thank you for fighting for the country. Oh, I'm sorry, day's over. Take the meat off the barbecue. That's it, you get a day. Ah, that's it, day. Ah. Memorial Weekend. You die for the country, they give you a weekend. Thank you for dying for the country. Take the boat out of the lake, put it on. Take the boat out of the lake, put it on the truck. You get a weekend, Memorial Weekend. Thank you for dying for the country. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, kept the Union together, gets a day.
You gotta share it.
Not even his own day. He's got to share it with George Washington, who founded the whole country. He doesn't get a day either. He's got to share it with Lincoln. But if they would have sucked each other's they would have got a whole month. That's all I'm saying.
It's true. It's true. They should have just loved each other a little more. They could have got a whole month. That's awful. That would give one of the deadly sins. Pride is a deadly sin. Pride is a sin. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. It's one of the worst sins. The sin of pride. You know, and we're celebrating that. We give it a whole month. How fucked is our civilization and our culture when we're giving pride a whole month? How long before we give lust and, you know, why don't we just give the rest of a month a greed? Well, I just have a greed month. What month is that? I like Jesse Lee Peterson because he throws it back at them and has white Pride Month is June. I don't know if you knew that, but White Pride Month is June. But here's a couple more memes. I wanted to show you this meme. This meme is actually making an interesting point. You pour water on your plants, you give water to your pets, but you allow your kids to drink all this garbage. Or you drink all this garbage. I drink this garbage. Everything on the screen there. Sprite, Coke. I got Coke in the fridge right now. Minute Maid orange juice, which ain't even orange juice. It's like 10% juice. And then whatever's in that McDonald's cup. Because whatever came with that McDonald's cup is poison too. So we give all that stuff to ourselves even. Why do we do that? You know, we're very flippant with our health, I think, sometimes. I'm trying to be more aware of it. I'm trying to care more about it. But I think a lot of times this is true. Like, we don't pay enough attention. And for me, it's not that I don't care. Because I know this is not my eternal. I'm going somewhere else. You know, when I pass away, I'm going to heaven. I believe I am. I'm trying to live a life that takes me in that direction. You know, that's my goal. So, but it's not that I don't care about this life. It's not that I don't care about this body. I'm just not as careful as I should be. I don't know why that is, you know. Why do you think that is? You know, I don't know. I don't really know. I should care more. I really should. We all should. But I know I'm guilty of it. I don't exercise as much as I should. I don't, you know, do anything I should. I always tell that voice in my head, I tell that voice, shh, when it tells me to do stuff. No, 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 no. Shh, 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 shh. We're doing other things right now. We're doing nothing. I want to do nothing for a while. But I know that doesn't work out. I know that doesn't work out. It doesn't work out to do nothing. I got stuff I got to do right now. I got to get up and do it. Otherwise, I'm going to let people down. I got people that are counting on me. So I got to kick this day's ass like I said I was going to. You know, I had to hang out with you guys, though. I had to hang out with you in the afternoon. It's very important to hang out with your friends in the afternoon, to have an afternooner on the Sabbath. But today is the Sabbath, so make sure that you honor the Sabbath. And, you know, say a little prayer, honor God. Tell him you're grateful. Tell him you're grateful for this beautiful place, Earth, where you get to dominate and walk around and be a literal beast and just shine light on people and spread love and just be a shining example of how to be. If you're doing that, if you're a beast like me, if you're not, do that. Do that. Rise up and put the armor of God on and go out and kick this world's ass. You can do that when you put on the full armor of God. You can walk around and just stomp around creation, just literally shining light and love on everybody and loving them so hard that they have to give you what you need and give you what you want because God provides. So get out there and do that. Get out there and live a beautiful life, you know, and dive into the Word and dive into your faith. And don't let yourself be weighed down by all this bullshit, this fake negativity that is around you. So take this, take the rest of the Sabbath, do what you want, rest, and recharge, and get ready to go back out and fight this world again. Thanks for stopping by here. Thanks for coming here and getting in the know. You know, stopping by and, you know, getting this, you know, inserted into your mind that you can control this world, that we can. We're creators of this world. We can go out and make a difference. You do that by being an example. I'm not being arrogant when I say that. That doesn't mean you're nailing it. It just means you're showing people that someone is trying, someone cares. That's important. People need that. So get out there and do that. Be that light in the world. Shine your light in ways that make a difference to people. That's what I was trying to do here. So if I did that for you, if I made a difference in your day and you had a good time here, share this out so someone else might see it. But hit that like button and comment. Tell me you had a good time. Tell me you were here and you want to know when we're coming back on live again. And if that's the case, hit subscribe. Follow me on X at the Dark Maga, THA. I'm clever, THA Dark Maga. That's me. It's a cartoon guy. I had to change it to a cartoon guy because when I put my sexy face on there, I was getting way too many cam girls were messaging me and scammers. So I was like, I'm too good looking. I got to put a cartoon up there. I didn't realize that it's very hard to change your profile picture on X. I would like to change it back to a picture of me, but I messed up. So it's the cartoon guy with the light up blue eyes at the Dark Maga, THA Dark Maga. That's me on X. Anywhere else that you're watching right now, just hit subscribe. On YouTube or Rumble, hit subscribe. And then you'll get notified when we go live. But until next time, man, thank you so much for hanging out with me. And I really think I'll be seeing you guys real soon. But until then, have a great Sabbath. Enjoy the rest of your Sabbath and have a great week. I'll probably see you next Saturday. Thank you guys so much for hanging out.